Welcome back to the West Ham Network Extra. I am Alex, and today I'm going to be talking about Tomas bloody Soucek, Mr. Potato Salad Man himself. What do we do with him? Do we keep him? Do we sell him? Do we start him from the beginning of the games? Do we use him as a super sub? That is the question. Now, Tomas has been a player that has done some great things for us in the past, and he has contributed a lot, especially with his goals and a lot of late goals as well. But he is also a player that does divide the fan base. There are fans that absolutely love him, and there are fans that absolutely hate him. Now, I do think this is loosely related to him being a David Moyes signing. When he was signed by David Moyes, he did perfectly fit into the system that David Moyes was playing. But the question is now, we've got Julian Lopetegui, and Julian Lopetegui is looking to play a more possession style type of football. So does Tomas Soucek fit into that system? Now, Lopetegui has been using him so far in both the games. He has started him in both games, and he has contributed what he usually does, and that is a goal. He scored a really important goal for us against Crystal Palace. But apart from that, I remember watching him throughout the game and wondering, what else does he really offer? What else? Because yes, he does offer us goals, and that is a really important part of his game. But as a midfielder, does he do enough in that midfield to warrant his place in that side? Now, I'm not usually a person who judges a player based on their stats. I'm usually a person who likes to watch a football player on the pitch, and then I judge them by what I see with my own eyes. But as I've been saying, I've been watching Tomas Soucek for the first two games, and it has kind of left me wondering what he actually offers to West Ham United, apart from the occasional goal and a little bit of an attacking threat, and he's very good in the air. What else does he offer? So I decided in this instance that I would dive into some stats and put some stats together to see if I could get a little bit of reassurance, and unfortunately I did that and it didn't really give me much reassurance. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to put out these stats and we're going to discuss them. I'm going to do some comparisons, and then at the end I'm going to give you my verdict on what I feel like we should be doing with Tomas Soucek going forward. So first off, let's start on the positive and talk about Tomas Soucek's goal contributions. He's played 209 games for West Ham United, scoring 33 goals, which is averaging a goal every 6 games. 15 of those goals have come in the first half, 18 in the second half, 15 after 60 minutes, and 8 after 80 minutes. And there is a reason that I have worded it that way, but I will get into that a little bit later. Now, one more thing I want to mention about his goals for West Ham United is I do believe there's only one central midfielder that has actually scored more goals than Tomas Soucek for West Ham United, and that is Mark Noble. So yeah, for a central midfielder, he does get a lot of goals. So his goal stats are not what concerns me. What does concern me though are his stats as a midfielder. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of different slides here. The first one I have put up are the stats from the first 2 games of this Premier League season, average per 90 minutes. And I have done some comparisons with Lucas Paquetá and Guido Rodriguez, the 2 midfielders that he has been playing alongside. And straight away, you can see some stark differences. First of all, successful passes. Tomas Soucek so far this season is averaging 12 successful passes per game, while Paquetá is averaging 44 and Rodriguez 36. Pass completion percentage. Soucek is averaging a 65% completion rate, while Paquetá is averaging 78 and Rodriguez 82. Touches. Soucek is averaging 32 touches per game, while Paquetá is averaging 73 and Rodriguez 59. Tomas Soucek is creating more chances than Paquetá or Rodriguez, but Tomas has been playing a little bit further forward than Paquetá, and Paquetá has been playing a lot deeper, so that is kind of expected. Ball recovery though, you can see that Paquetá is well up there. He is definitely getting stuck in doing his defensive work, but Soucek hasn't been recovering the ball as much. But as I say, he has been playing a little bit further forward, so that may explain that. But there is a stat coming up later that does make Soucek look a little bit better when it comes to his defensive work. Now, obviously, you can see the clearances and interceptions is pretty even across the board, apart from interceptions. Rodriguez is well ahead. But one thing that I will always praise Soucek for is his aerial ability, and he does tend to win more aerial duels than any other midfielder. Now, as I said, this season Soucek is playing a little further forward, so that may explain why his stats don't look as good in some cases compared to Paquetá and Rodriguez. So what I thought I would also do is compare Soucek's stats from last season, where he was playing a more defensive midfielder role, and compare his stats to James Ward-Prowse's and Edson Alvarez's. And this is what I found. Now, these stats are just based on the Premier League from last season, so they don't include any European games or any cup games. And yeah, Soucek got 7 goals and 2 assists last season in the Premier League. James Ward-Prowse 7 goals and 7 assists, and Edson Alvarez 1 goal and 1 assist, but obviously does play a lot deeper, so doesn't get as forward as much. But again, you got to look at the successful passes, and last season Soucek was averaging 22 successful passes per game, while James Ward-Prowse was averaging 39 and Alvarez 38 pass completion. Soucek was averaging a 75% pass completion rate, while James Ward-Prowse was averaging 89 and Alvarez 86. You can see that both James Ward-Prowse and Edson Alvarez were averaging more touches in the game than Soucek. James Ward-Prowse was creating more chances last season than Tomas Soucek. This is where the ball recovery stat does look better in Soucek's favour, because he was recovering the ball a lot better last season than he has been this season, but he was playing a lot deeper, so that was to be expected. Also, we were playing a more defensive style of football, so that is also to be expected, but Edson Alvarez does top that one. Clearances, though, he was doing his job defensively, but we were defending a hell of a lot last season, so he was having to do more defensive work. We're not having to defend as much this season, and he is not being asked to get back as much, so that could explain that stat right there. Interceptions, though, Edson Alvarez is on top there, but again, yes, Soucek very good in the air, winning the majority of his aerial duels. Now, while I was looking at these stats, I did discover something else very interesting, especially when it comes to ball recoveries. Yes, Soucek was recovering the ball a lot more last season. He did have a lot more ball recoveries than he has so far this season per 90 minutes. But there were 2 players that were recovering the ball a hell of a lot. Now, Edson Alvarez was sitting on an average of 6.7 ball recoveries a game, but so was Lucas Paquetá. He was definitely doing his defensive work, but there was one player who was recovering the ball more than any other player for West Ham United last season, and that was Mohamed Kudus, averaging 7.7 ball recoveries per game. So I never want to hear anyone say that Lucas Paquetá and Kudus neglect their defensive duties. Now, why have I made this video? Am I making it just a hate on Tomas Soucek? No, I'm not. I don't hate Tomas Soucek. I love the man. I love what he has done for West Ham United, and I love what he contributes to West Ham United, and I do still believe he can contribute a hell of a lot to West Ham. But I have to ask the question, is he the right man to be playing in our midfield, especially when we want to be playing a style of football that is heavily dependent on us keeping possession? And Tomas Soucek, as I've proved right there, is not particularly good at keeping possession. And after looking at those stats, I do have to ask the question why James Ward-Prowse is not starting instead of Soucek. He's better at passing the ball, he's got a higher completion rate, he touches it more, he gets involved more, and he can score goals. He can pretty much do everything that Soucek does, plus a little bit more. So why Lopetegui is choosing Soucek over James Ward-Prowse at the moment, I'm really not sure. I know that Soucek has this uncanny knack of being in the right place at the right time to score some very important goals, but as I showed in that goal stat I showed at the beginning, a lot of his goals are scored very late in the game, so he can still contribute a hell of a lot for West Ham United off the bench. And I cannot think of a better player to bring on if you need a goal. He's an aerial threat, he can be an absolute menace to those defences, and he does have that very uncanny knack of being in the right place at the right time. And he is also very good in the opposition box as well, so if we need to hold on to a lead, I feel like he would be a very good player to bring on in that situation as well. So this is not a hate video for Tomas Soucek. I still very, very much want him at West Ham United, and I still think that he can contribute a hell of a lot to West Ham United, but as I say, I just don't think he is the right player to be starting in that midfield, and I don't think he will be. I don't think he is the long-term solution. I don't think Lopetegui sees him starting there long-term. I think that's why he's trying to bring in Carlos Sola, and he will probably start in that position instead. Maybe he's being brought in to play more alongside Rodriguez or Alvarez, and then, you know, they'll push Paquetá up a little bit more, because at the moment Paquetá has been playing deeper. Go and have a look at the heat maps. Paquetá's positioning over the last 2 games has been primarily in the centre of midfield and our own half. He's very rarely getting far forward, while Soucek, on the other hand, is getting forward a lot more. So Soucek is playing more of the 10 role this season than he has been previously, and Paquetá is playing more of that kind of like traditional 8 role, which does make me ask the question, why not put Kudus there instead of Soucek? Put Kudus in the 10, but some of him on the left. Kudus is still very, very good in the air. Yeah, he may not be as good as Soucek, but go look at his aerial duels. Like, he wins a fair few, so he can still do a job there. And he's definitely better on the ball. He's definitely better at passing it, and he's definitely better at taking on people as well. And it's more of a natural position for him. He's wasted on that left. So that is something that I would absolutely love to see. So yeah, Tomas Soucek still has a hell of a lot to offer to West Ham United. Just not so much from the starting lineup, but I reckon he could be one hell of a super sub. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. And if you have, please do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I will hopefully be live tomorrow night over on the West Ham Network for Alex's TikTok takeover. That is Tuesday if you're watching it, so it might be today if you're watching this tomorrow, because I'm recording this on Monday night. So yeah, it may be tonight. I'm still not 100% sure, because I'm picking up my wife and kids today, and I haven't seen them in 10 days. So I may end up spending more time with them. But if I'm available around 9 o'clock, then I will be live. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and come on, you Irons.